I recorded a documentary at Flashlight Studio on 30th Street in 2005, which I've long since lost, but I found it again. And it's really a wonderful 6-minute documentary on Flash in his studio, quite charming. And we're going to play it for you right now. And immediately afterwards is a rather long text file of various creative projects, very sophisticated, big creative projects that I was involved with from Flash ever since, some of which have thousands of viewers. And of course, all that stuff is now not online since Flash passed. But at least this will be a way of describing what we did, and I may be able to resuscitate or resurrect part of those files, because I found a few files during the last week. So at least PDFs and everything will come up. The text is self-explanatory. So that's it.
Play it, Bill.
So now I've got to press start.
Excellent. Get it, Bill.
Welcome to my studio. Have a seat. This is a working studio. I actually make my living from this bench. Besides selling the artwork that you'll see around me, I also solve technical problems for artists and musicians. The earliest work that I did was about visual music. Images changing over time and using the dimension of time the way musicians do, except changing the light in order to create some kind of an emotional response. As I worked in this manner, I became more interested in expressing ideas. Come over here to the peace sign. And I've done many political pieces, some of which you might have seen at Exit Art. But the work that really interests me is the work that deals with metaphysical questions. Metaphysics, meaning beyond the physics, of course, is something that even artists are qualified to investigate, even without a background in physics. And over here, there are two pieces that deal with questions raised by DNA. One is called a woolly mammoth future, and the other is a dodo future. These pieces were done in the 80s, before cloning technology became possible, and it was possible to clone a bird or to clone a mammal. Now it's actually conceivable that this could happen, that these creatures would be resurrected, would be brought back to life. And to me, that's an incredibly interesting question for art to deal with. But even more interesting than that is what happens if the creature that's being resurrected is not a bird or a mammal, but is a human being. And that's what the Memorandum of Genetic Resurrection is about. As I began to think about that question, I started to study the beliefs of the ancient Egyptians, because, of course, they had mummified their dead, believing, at least in the beginning of Egyptian theology, they believed that those mummies would be resurrected at one point. And lo and behold, we've now reached the point where our technology is such that we can resurrect them. Now, there's an article up there from the New York Science Times that was around 1985. And if you look at the fine print in the article, you'll see it says that the DNA engineers have actually resurrected the DNA of an ancient Egyptian mummy. Now that could happen. Now it is possible that a human being, an ancient Egyptian pharaoh, could be resurrected. I started to study ancient Egyptian beliefs, and I became very interested in the ancient Egyptian metaphysical ideas. For example, we have this misconception that the ancient Egyptians worshipped idols, and this is not really true. The ancient Egyptians worshipped their gods, but just as we think that we have a body and a spirit, they felt that if they wanted their gods to come into the temple, they had to provide a body for the god. And so the idol was the body that they offered the god to dwell in, hoping that the god would come down and dwell amongst them. Well, when I read this, of course, I became very interested to see what I can do, and I created an idol of Lord Anubis, the ancient Egyptian god of the dead. And of course, the problem was to get the god to come down and occupy the idol. Repent, repent, repent already. My temples are in ruins. Why have you let this happen? What's wrong with you? Here, take a look at this article in the New York Times. And here is the proof. You see this article in the New York Times? It says intact genetic material extracted from an ancient mummy. It proves the ancient technology worked. We succeeded in preserving this mummy for thousands of years, and it has been resurrected. So you can believe in those other gods, but I am the God with a track record at raising the dead. And here you see, well, it's not a very good likeness of me, but you see a picture of me studying genetic engineering at a gene machine. And this is how I am preparing to raise the dead using the modern science of genetic engineering to fulfill the ancient Egyptian beliefs. And there you see is a bark traveling somebody on the journey of millions of years. This was the journey of the dead, and that journey is now at its end. The dead are now able to be resurrected, as you have seen, through modern DNA science. So I hope now you understand and appreciate the ancient Egyptian beliefs. I hope you will respect the ancient Egyptian gods, rebuild their temples, and restore back on earth the ancient harmony of the universe.
That's it. Should be the end.
Okay, well, thanks, Bill. That was William Rabinovitch, Bill Rabinovitch, doing an homage to Flash. This is part of Flash's memorial. I'll stop recording.